Eating at a Hooters for Women in Japan is a 2018 short documentary from filmmaker Carly Shortino of Vice Media. Carly's documentary is centered on the Macho Macho restaurant where she is served by a group of 11 large, muscular men. It is part of Carly's Slutever documentary web series, wherein which she typically explores different forms of sex work through a feminist lens. This analysis will examine Carly's documentary through the lens of content, mode, and style, whilst also exploring how each of these elements interact with one another to form the final documentary. To begin, the content of this documentary follows Carly's journey into this obscure Shibuya restaurant where she is introduced to the Macho 29 group. As a feminist writer, Carly explores how this restaurant subverts the traditional idea of gazing at an attractive female waitress. She chooses to attend the restaurant like a patron, experiencing the restaurant alongside the audience whilst engaging in an interview with the establishment's muscular staff, specifically about the unique distinctions between gender norms in Japan compared to the Western world. Whilst a restaurant with needlessly muscular waiters may appear on the surface to be just one of the many oddities in Japan, Carly's interview reveals the inner motivation for the members of Macho 29 to be the challenging of strict body standards in the country. The more personally involved approach to her content contributes to the documentary's chosen mode. This documentary, alongside others in the Slutever series, utilized the participatory mode. According to Judd Bradbury and Rosanna Guadagno, participatory documentary is uniquely defined with the filmmaker participating as an actor in the film. In essence, rather than the audience being a fly on the wall or guided through a story by an expository voice of God, the participatory mode develops a relationship between the audience and the filmmaker, who serves as a protagonist that the audience can then follow, much like a traditional narrative feature. The filmmaker, as the interviewer, is uncovering, creating, and revealing the evidence as it unfolds in the process. This can be seen in the filmmaker's linear storytelling with the content of arriving at the restaurant, to interviewing the macho men, and finally being served food. Unlike other forms such as the reflexive mode, however, it does not explicitly call attention to the artificiality and construction of a documentary. However, we are still learning alongside the filmmaker rather than from them as we would in a performative documentary. Another way this mode impacts the content of the documentary is with the subject itself. As journalist Luke Dormel states, many times the subject of the documentary will be of a personal nature to the filmmaker. Carly's personal interest in sexuality informs not only this documentary, but her entire Slutever series of works. Moving on to the style of this short, Carly Shortino's documentary is stylistically unremarkable, structured in a primarily linear fashion. However, instead of taking a fly-on-the-wall approach, Carly's documentary effectively uses piece-to-camera and the sparing intercutting of B-roll footage to complement an otherwise straightforward interview. Sync sound and a lack of music or non-diegetic sound effects also help to create a natural feel to the encounter, allowing the audience to feel as though they are silently participating alongside Carly. Rather than trying to combine stylistic features of other modes, Carly's documentary stays true to the core of the participatory mode, remaining entirely focused on the engagement between filmmakers and their subjects, which film critic Bill Nichols describes as the core of the mode. One way in which Carly's approach to content influences these stylistic choices can be observed in her choice of B-roll. Her sex-positive feminist background prompts much of the documentary's B-roll to comprise glamorized, slow-motion mid-shots of the individual Macho 29 members, often while flexing their muscles. These simple stylistic choices of the documentary complement the film's short-form exploration of objectification from Carly's sex-positive perspective. Overall, Eating at a Hooters for Women in Japan is a documentary where content, mode, and style coalesce to provide a small glimpse into a niche food establishment in Japan, whilst also exploring the country's relationship with masculinity and objectification. Carly Shortino is able to combine these subjects with the comedic nature of Macho 29 into an engaging and insightful exploration of this niche element of Japanese culture.